Hello and welcome to Explore Analytics. In this quick video, we're going to show you how you can create an Explore Analytics evaluation environment and how you can connect it to ServiceNow in just a few minutes. So first, from the Explore Analytics website, exploreanalytics.com, I'm going to select Try It Free. And I'm going to go and click Try Now under the evaluation. So I can see the pricing and I can go here directly to sign up for an evaluation. So I will give my information. And once I complete filling in all of this information and click continue, an activation email is going to be sent to my email account. So now I can see that in my email account, I have this enclosed as your account activation. This is important because you won't be able to log in until you follow this email link. It may go to your spam filter, so check it out there. And if I click that link, it'll take me to the new user activation. It will ask me to set some security questions, which obviously I won't fill in for real for this video, and click submit. So now I can go on and sign in. Now, once I'm logged in, I now have a fully featured Explore Analytics evaluation environment for 30 days. I have, links to many of the most common areas, but what I want to do first for the purposes of this video is add a ServiceNow data source. So to do that, I go to Data, and I say Add a new data source, and select ServiceNow. This dialog is going to walk me through the steps to set up this environment. There's going to be two things I need. The first is to download an update set. So I'm going to click here to download the update set file, and now I'm going to switch over to my ServiceNow environment. The one I'm using for the purposes of this video is actually one of the ServiceNow environments from developer.servicenow.com, which allows you to spin up temporary personal instances, which is great for trying out for an evaluation. But this could also be your dev or testing environments or sandbox, depending on what you have. So what I'm going to do is go to System Update Sets. I have to be logged in as a user with administrative rights. And I select Retrieved Update Sets, and I'm going to select Import Update Set from XML. This will allow me to upload the file that I downloaded, this ServiceNow Update Set 2, and I will upload that update set. So now this Explore Analytics update set will show up in the list of retrieved update sets. Now if I select this update set, it'll show me all the information about the update set. But what I need to do in ServiceNow to apply this update set is to say Preview. What that does within ServiceNow is make sure that there aren't any clashes. Now, the Explore Analytics update set has largely standalone tables and fields and components, so it's very unlikely that you'll see any conflicts. If you see any, contact Explore Analytics support and we'll help you resolve them. But it says success. There's no collisions or issues, so I'm free to click Commit Update Set. Great. So now it says that it succeeded in applying my update set. So I'm free to connect Explore Analytics to the ServiceNow environment. Now if I look at Explore Analytics, it says I need to give this a data source name. So we'll call it dev ServiceNow, my developer instance. It now wants the URL, including the .service-now.com. So I'll just click and select this from the URL and copy it and paste it. Now it asks for a ServiceNow user. So this is going to be a service account that can connect into that ServiceNow instance. If you're just trying this out against a developer instance, you could use your own login, but for typical ServiceNow deployments, we recommend creating a dedicated service account. So let me walk you through creating that. In the left-hand navigator, I'm going to go to Users. And I'm going to create a new user. We're going to give it the user ID Explore Service. and I'm going to give it a password. And one thing you can do is say web service access only. That means no one will be able to log in using this service account. And I'll right click and click save. Now that I've created this user, I need to give it roles. Now, for the most part, the roles that you give Explore Analytics are whatever roles are necessary to read the data in ServiceNow that you want to report against. So in this case, I'm going to select ITIL admin and catalog admin, for example. There are two specific roles that Explore Analytics needs. One is called SOAP script. That allows us Explore Analytics to, from remote web services, make queries to ServiceNow. And the other one we'll want is content admin. That allows Explore Analytics to publish content to ServiceNow. Once I have this, I'm going to click save. So now I have this user called Explore Service with a password. It can be accessed only through web services, and it has some roles. You see that it also inherited some roles based on the roles that I gave it. So let's go back over to Explore Analytics. So now we want to give it the credentials we just created. We'll create a default time zone that'll let us know that any scheduled jobs, to have those line up with the data source. And then I'm going to select automatically register and authorize ServiceNow users and run queries as the ServiceNow users. These are optional properties. The first one allows us to use ServiceNow as a single sign-on source. So you can actually log into Explore Analytics directly through ServiceNow without typing in separate credentials. It's great for when you're putting this on people's dashboards. Run queries as the ServiceNow user means that if a user logs in through that single sign-on, we'll automatically filter those reports based on who that user is. So you can apply contextual security like show my jobs or show my locations, as well as enforcing access control rules, domains, before query business rules, so that the user will only be able to see in Explore Analytics what they have access to in ServiceNow. And with that, I click OK. What this is going to do is it's going to reach out via web services, and the first time you connect the data source, it's going to find what tables does this user have access to, and what fields do we have access to on that table, including any custom tables or custom fields that are specific to your environment. This may take a few minutes. It usually takes longer. Depending on how broad of access credentials you've given to the service account. So for example, if you give it the admin account, it could be querying anywhere between 15,000 to 20 or 30,000 tables, depending on your environment. So it may take a few minutes. So now you see that the data source dev ServiceNow was successfully created. And it's actually taken me directly to the data source where I can see the information about what tables were loaded. At any point, I can reach this by going to Data, Browse Data Sources and Tables, and then selecting this dev ServiceNow data source. So now I have these 999 tables, and I can move through to see what's there. This will include any custom tables that I have access to, really any information I want to find out more on. Let's suppose that one of the tables I'd like to report against isn't here. So for example, there's a table called knowledge use that I don't see listed among these knowledge tables. The number one reason that you won't see a table here is because the Explore Analytics service account doesn't have access to it. So let me show you how to address that. If I switch over back to ServiceNow and go back to the roles and click Edit, let's add an additional role to that service account. So in this case, I'll find the knowledge admin role and add that and click Save. So now I've added some additional entitlement to the service account. Back in Explore Analytics, I'm going back to that list of data sources, and I'm going to right-click and say Refresh Tables. refresh data source configuration. What that will do is it'll ask Explore Analytics to check again. I can say look only for new tables, or refresh all tables and fields, which does what we did during the initial setup over again. For right now, I'm going to just refresh new tables only. So it's going to double check and see whether there are any new tables available for us. Now that happens much quicker. That happens much quicker because Explore Analytics has much fewer tables. It's only looking for the new ones. So let's go through, and we'll see that instead of 999 tables, I now have 1005. And if I scroll back down to the knowledge tables, you'll see that I have some additional, like the knowledge use and knowledge submission tables that weren't there before, because we've now added those roles. So again, if you don't see specific tables that you're expecting to see, check to see if you need to add additional roles to the service account. And once you've added those roles, refresh the data source. So now we have all of this information at our fingertips. Let's test to make sure that we're really able to run those reports that we want. I'm going to go to File and say New View, select from my new Dev ServiceNow data source, and use the autocomplete to pick a table. So for this one, I'll choose Incident, and we'll select a pivot, and we'll call this my first pivot report. So now it runs that query and it brings back the number of rows. Since I'm using a developer ServiceNow instance, there's not a whole lot of data on it, so it only finds 54 incidents, but I can, drag to break them down by assignment group or, by category across the top. We have videos, other videos on this YouTube channel that'll show you how to build pivot reports and all these kinds of reports. I just wanted to build something very quickly so that we could see that, yes, in fact, in real time, Explore Analytics is gathering that data. So once I have this report, let's also test embedding this in ServiceNow. I'm going to go to File menu and select Publish. What this can do is automatically publish this report to ServiceNow so we can test adding this to the dashboard. Once I have this report, I select I want it to be live, I select Publish to ServiceNow, and then I walk through the options and click Finish. Now it says that there's a ServiceNow content block called My First Pivot Report. So I'm going to go to my ServiceNow dashboard, and I'm going to select Add Content. And in the Add Content menu, the Explore Analytics update set now has a section for Explore Analytics, and you'll see that my first pivot report is here. It loads, and I can say where I want that on my dashboard. And I now have this Explore Analytics pivot report. It's here, it's drillable, and I can also pop it open full screen from within the user interface. Thanks for watching this video. You can see that within a few minutes you can create an Explore Analytics evaluation environment and connect it in real time to ServiceNow. For more information on how to build reports or what kinds of reports to build, check out the other videos on this channel.